Welcome to the Mid-Wavespell Galactic Mind Weather Report. So today, I've been feeling really inspired by the white resonant wind, the archetype of today, to share one of my favorite stories about the warrior energy and really tap into this energy of today, the white resonant wind, which talks about how does the warrior realign to his or her original intention and not get caught up in the wars and the fights that can so easily happen when we get into that fire and that fearlessness. And so I wanted to share this story with you. I brought a few props along. And so to begin this story, I want you to imagine, a real tribal warrior in the Amazon jungle. And this warrior is tired and lost. He's been fighting for months and months and months. He's lost his village, he's lost his tribe. But he knows the direction. He knows the direction home and where they'll be waiting. But he's got these other fierce enemies on his tail, chasing after him. Like the march flies that we have here in Australia, biting on my toe. And he has these fierce enemies on his tail, and then there's these jaguars, the wild. There's so many predators around. And there's other tribes that have had his scent and know that he's around, that are chasing him. So he can't stay still. The warrior is fearless. He's not scared, but he's wired up and he's ready. He's ready to fight, looking around, hand on the quiver, ready to draw if he needs to. And he's come to this point on his track, and there's the big Amazon River raging in front of him. So imagine now this, the Amazon River is this raging body of water that's impassable by man to just simply walk across. And he stands there at the edge of this river looking, and there in the distance, he can see safety. He can see his home, his tribe. He can see the smoke coming from the villages. He's close. He knows it. But he has this obstacle in front of him that he just can't get past. Behind him is coming the enemies, is coming the stresses, the overwhelms, the madness. And he knows he has to get across this river. He must get to his destination or he will not be able to hold up much longer under this pressure. And he's not fearing the fight. He's ready for the fight. But there's only so much energy that one warrior has. But he will go out fighting if he must. And so he looks to this Amazon River that's raging in front of him. He looks up and he looks down. And both directions is the same for miles and miles on end. He knows he can't walk any further. That if he dares to try and find a safe way across, they'll get him. He must cross this river now. And the fearlessness of the warrior sitting there looking, how can I do this? Can I create a raft? Looking at the trees around, how can I force my way across this river? And he's getting to the point that he's losing hope. He doesn't know what else to do. But the fearlessness in him will swim across that damn river if nothing else, knowing very well that his life will be taken on the way across. But he will not stay put and give up to the devil that is coming. So he gets ready and he starts. He's hungry. He's tired, but he's gonna do it. He's just about to surrender to his final option of what he can see with his mind, his fearless mind. But then suddenly, the winds change. Something in the air shifts. And the fearlessness of the warrior tunes into something else. But he can't see what it is with his mind. There's no logic to this. What's going on? There's a kind of enchantment that suddenly drops in. That comes, that moment right before disaster. Right before, your life is threatened, there comes this existential moment where reality begins to blur. And he sees, over by the river, a little white rabbit. And he thinks, well, at least I won't die hungry. So this warrior, as fearless as he is, takes an arrow out of his quiver, loads it up in his bow quietly, watching this rabbit, knowing that at least he will get his final meal. He draws back. He's ready. The muscles quivering. At least he knows what he must do. And as he tracks this rabbit suddenly hears the whisper of the wind, as if it's talking to him. His heart rate slows down, and he feels his muscles slowing. The warrior feels this timelessness begin to immerse around him, and stops, and just feels this voice saying, breathe. Breathe in this oxygen. And the warrior breathes and finds his center again. And he looks at this rabbit, watching it carefully, suddenly realizing that rabbits don't belong in this area. What is this rabbit doing here? In all the noise and the fight and the fear and this want to get home, he totally missed that he's looking at this strange creature, this rabbit that does not belong next to the Amazon River. A mystical thing to find, and he was just about to shoot it for food. But because he slowed down and listened to the wind, used his breath to center, he suddenly gave this rabbit the attention it deserves. And as he watches this rabbit bouncing along, he sees all of a sudden it comes up to a bush, a scrub, that's right by the raging river, and pops into that bush. And for a moment, the warrior thinks, well, I guess I'm going out hungry. But then something inside him stirs and says, wait, keep watching, keep watching. And he breathes again, stilling himself, using his breath, listening to the communication of the earth speaking through the wind. And across this raging river on the other side, a movement catches his eye. There's that white rabbit. How on earth did it get across this raging river? And then it dawned on him. The rabbit almost looks back, cheekily smiling, and bounces off down the pathway home to where his village is waiting. And he realizes this is a sign from the gods, a sign from Pachamama herself speaking to his warrior heart, that fighting is not always the way. Sometimes we must slow down. And so the warrior goes to this bush, this scrub where the rabbit disappeared. He would never have found it if he had have shot that rabbit with the arrow. And he opens up the scrub, and there inside he discovers a secret tunnel, an ancient tunnel that burrows underneath this raging river all the way across. So quickly, he takes his arrow, puts it away, lowers his bow. He hears the sounds of the feet coming from behind him. And he goes straight to that bush and he dives right in, finds his way across through this dark tunnel, trusting in the messages from Spirit to guide his warrior heart, and comes out the other side. And he's free. He looks back and he sees these warriors turning up at the river's edge. He's just survived. He's just made it across. They're firing arrows, but it's too far. And they think he swam across. They can't work it out. They're jumping in the water, getting carried away by the raging river, wondering how this crazed warrior made it across this fierce river. And that warrior continues on and makes his way home. So the beautiful thing about this story is, it really speaks to the heart of what it means to be a fierce warrior in this lifetime, what it means to be a fierce warrior on your life path. Fearlessness does not mean anger. It does not mean bitterness. It does not mean to fight. It means to be fearless, without fear. But that does not mean to be stupid. It does not mean to be arrogant. It does not mean to be brutal. And the white resonant wind, today's archetype, speaks to the importance for a real warrior to always have the rituals in his or her life to reconnect to the higher self, to the higher spirit, or whatever you want to think of as this higher aspect of ourselves. To the earth, to Pachamama, to pay attention to the synchronicities around us. And the only way that we will see those synchronicities is if we are standing in fearless stillness, not in fear-filled action and reaction and fight. And so I think this is a really important thing to consider right now. When you look around the world, there is so much happening. You know, the economy is changing, the politics is changing, the world is crumbling very quickly, and new systems are coming up just as quick. It's overwhelming. It's mind-boggling. To try and, grasp what is going on and see the big picture is near impossible for a human being right now. We need to trust. And we need to learn to not use our mind to logically look at everything and try and work it out like a puzzle, but to trust that everyone out there is going to find their warrior spirit and find their way, because we have to just trust, because we can't do it for them. And it's really speaking to this fact that we need to just focus on ourselves, no one else. Reclaim your fearlessness. Stabilize your anger, your sadness, your fears, your hopes, your joys, your bitterness, all of these emotional spectrums. Embrace them, own them, and stop projecting out blame to others, and start really connecting into yourself. Find your rituals that allow you to slow down in every moment of every day, so that you can yourself not get carried away in. It's like these warriors, these fierce tribes that were coming after the warrior, the threats, the jaguars, all these stresses. That's like our bills, our partners, our relationship problems, our problems at work, the worries of war, all these worries. You see, we still live in a fight and flight society. The difference between the time of the warrior in the old days and now is that our enemies are mostly self-created in the mind. And then we project them and pitch them against each other. We try to defend against these imaginary enemies we see in everyone around us. And the crazy part is everyone else is doing the same. So it's like we're actually creating them with our minds. We're creating our own madness. And we need to start slowing down. We need to start finding our center and really reconnecting to our heart. And take fearless action from there. And if we can do that, we will find our way to our highest dreams. We will together co-create this world. And you know what? Even if you don't, life will just get bigger. The challenges will grow until eventually the willpower of our ego that wants to resist, that wants to create the fight, will eventually break. And we will be forced to surrender. So we're going to wash up on the shore. The question is, how much are you going to struggle against the waves? How much energy are you going to use resisting the natural flow? Or are you going to just surrender to these waves? Swim with them. Like a body surfer in the ocean, swimming with this wave as you feel its power, the whole ocean picking up behind you. You can try and resist it and get dumped and tumbled up to the shore. Or you can be fearless, knowing this is a big wave, but if you paddle like mad and really sink in with that wave, and you catch that wave, then you can just surf. Allow your body to naturally, effortlessly glide with the power of the whole of the ocean itself, or Pachamama, carrying you. And you will glide up onto the shore with grace, with so much energy left, with celebration for the ride. Or you can struggle and fight it, and you will get dumped and rolled and punched along the ground and rock up on and wash up onto the shore, tired, exhausted, scratched up and bruised, but you'll still be on the shore. So either way, you're going to make it. We're all going to make it. The real question is, can you slow down and find your stillness and catch these waves? Because I know that's what I'm aiming for. So may you surf well through the rest of this Yellow Warrior wave spell. And I look forward to joining you at the beginning of the next. Thank you for joining me on the adventure and the fairy tale. So much love in Lakesh.